Let me just check if everything is working as expected. Just give me a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. Just give me a second. I just wanted to make sure that everything is working as expected. Okay. Hey. Yeah, I can hear myself. I don't see any audio glitches whatsoever. Things seem to be working fairly well. Yeah, no major hiccups. So, okay, before we jump into the session, there are a bunch of questions on the chat window here. I'll try to answer a few of them. We'll start the session exactly at 7:05 p.m., right? 7:05 p.m. so that everybody gets ample time to join the session. In the meantime, okay, oh, my team is already live here. They're already answering a few questions. So, yeah, good. Yeah, as the team says, if you have any other topics that you want us to cover, I would be very happy to do it. And somebody says, after a long-term live session, I was just busy creating content, doing question answers, all of that stuff. The whole team, because we wanted to have all the questions, as many questions as possible, high quality questions. So we all have been extremely packed up with that. And that's why I couldn't do a live session for the last few weeks. But anyway, I'll be doing more regularly now. Just give us a topic that you want us to cover. We'll happily cover it. Right? So, okay. So, yeah. I'll come to subject by subject. Somebody says how to tackle CN. CN is slightly tricky because CN is a big subject. It's a massive subject with so many protocols, so many things. Sometimes you have to remember them, unfortunately. I hate things where I have to remember things by heart. But again, the questions are easy. That's a good part about CN. If you know the concepts, solving the question is straightforward. We have solved so many questions in the course videos. So it's extremely simple if you know the concepts. But the subject itself is so broad. That's why in the schedule, we actually keep the CN to the very end so that you can recollect some of those concepts just before the exam. Okay, CN course content is humongous as compared to other subjects, right? So I'll come to that. I have a schedule. I've also pasted a link in the description section of this video. I'll cover each of these one by one, right? So somebody suggests, can you do all tricky topics, each subject for 2 months? It will be really helpful. That's something that we're planning to do. Not just me, but other members in my team also will start doing live sessions where they would take some tricky questions where many students will start doing mistakes, topic by topic or subject by subject, and we'll solve these questions together, right? That's something that we have been planning from now on. Like we are close to 90 to 100 days from the exam. So this is something that the whole team wants to do, wherein amongst all the tests that we have, questions that we get from students, we thought we'll take those tricky concepts or tricky problems and solve them in live. That's something that we have been planning. We'll try to do one a week, at least one session a week, wherein we are taking tricky problems, either topic wise or a bunch of topics in a subject or subject wise, and solve them so that you get to know how not to fall for those tricky questions, right? So sounds good. Okay. So it's okay. Amit is asking, should I solve problems prior to 2009? It's okay. I understand the pattern is slightly different prior to 2009, but that's okay. At the end of the day, you're solving these previous year questions or a topic tests or a subject tests or a mock tests primarily to see where you stand. Okay, this is like, again, solving problems is the best form of revision for you. There is nothing that beats that. And in the next 3 months, our biggest focus will be revision as many times as we can, along with practice. See, till now what we have done is one phase of the preparation. Last 90 days is the second phase. And this is the most, you mess up this 90 days, sorry, things go really bad, right? So let's go one by one, right? Okay, so yeah. Okay, some of you are feeling less confident. Remember that at this point of time, you still have 90 days, right? Most likely what you would have done is you would have prepared all the concepts once, taken some practice tests, etc. Even if you don't get good marks now, that's okay. Okay, because even people who are in the top 100, top 200 ranks till now may not score very well. The last 90 days is where, again, the biggest challenge with GATE is not the hardness of questions. I've been telling you this from day one. The biggest problem with GATE is the amount of content that you have to learn. GATE problems, again, 90% of problems are not hard. There are maybe 5-6% of problems which are slightly tricky, 4-5% of problems which are hard. But 90% of GATE questions are actually easy from a problem solving standpoint. The biggest challenge with GATE is the syllabus is humongous, and that's what kills you. So that's what I'm going to talk about in the next half an hour or so, wherein how to revise, how to practice all of these things. And that's what makes the difference. It's perfectly okay. Again, to be honest with you, when I was preparing for GATE, at this point, like 90 to 100 days before GATE, I was doing silly mistakes. The first time I took my GATE exam, I did my first preparation by around early November. November, December, Jan, I would simply solve, again, I didn't have these many tests at my disposal when I was preparing. I simply solved last 20-year questions. Every question, again, I'll tell you some strategies on what you can follow. For every question, if you've done a mistake, you should make a note of it, go back, revise the concepts. We have given you notes for most of the subjects. We are doing notes for other subjects also. We should have them maybe in the next couple of weeks for all the subject notes, right? So sounds good. So let's go. Let's dive into this. The first and foremost thing. So again, we're almost 7:05. So let me cover the topics that I wanted to cover. First, and I've made my notes so that I don't miss out on anything. First and foremost, I wanted to thank a bunch of people who have reached out to us and said your content is great. Especially, we really feel extremely proud of the whole team, their work that they have done. When people who have been teaching for a decade or more come back to us and say, "Hey guys, this is some of the best content we have seen. This is, we have had faculty members who have taught for 10, 15, even 20 years, and they come back and say, hey, I really liked your content for theory of computation or your let's say computer organization and topics like that. We really like the fact that you're connecting the real world to concepts while also solving problems, etc." Especially Professor Yogaraj Sharma at RJIT in Gwalior. He has spoken very highly of us. Thank you, sir. I just want to call out a few names. So Professor Yogaraj Sharma at RJIT in Gwalior. For somebody who has been in academics, who has been teaching for 10, 20 years, for somebody like him to come back and say, guys, I really love your content and you're doing a phenomenal job. And I've recommended our course, your course to some of my students and they really enjoy it. I really like the way you're teaching. And that means a lot to us because truth be told, I have been only teaching for the last 2 years. Okay. I'm no expert in teaching. I'm just learning the basics of how to teach well. Right. And when people who have been in teaching for a decade or two come back and say, you're doing a good job, that means a lot to us. So a special call out to people like them, not just to Professor Yogaraj Sharma, but other faculty members, other teachers who have reached out to us. And that means a lot to me personally and to the whole team. So now let's come to some strategies. Remember, your examination starts at 10 a.m. So you have 90 days. So you have to set your clock, your biological clock to that. My strong recommendation for everyone, this is a mistake that many people commit, which is they don't get good sleep before the exam. They start overthinking and start doing mistakes, right? I strongly recommend you at least get 7 hours of sleep, preferably 8 hours. Try to get ample sleep because sleep helps you. There is ton of neuroscience research and sleep research which says that sleep helps you recollect things, absorb things much better, especially during your REM sleep and things like that, right? So please don't skip on your sleep. Don't say I'm going to work 16 hours, sleep for 4 hours. Sorry, you'll only get burnt out. You'll only start making silly mistakes. Please don't do that. Try to get at least 7 hours, preferably 8 hours of sleep. That's very, very important. But to prepare your biological clock itself, I recommend you wake up between 6 to 6:30. The reason I'm saying this is very important. On the examination day, your exam starts at 10 a.m. Probably it will take you about an hour to hour and a half to reach your examination center. So you want your biological clock to be fully active by 10 a.m. right? So if you can learn to wake up at 6:30, have your breakfast, study for a couple of hours before you go to college or before you go to work, that will set your biological rhythm, your biological clock to be fully aware and to be fully tight or to be fully active by 10 a.m., which is the time that you have to take the exam. I've seen a lot of people not getting good sleep. I've seen some brilliant candidates. I've talked to a lot of brilliant candidates from last year who have messed up their exam because they started panicking. They started overthinking. They started not having good sleep, which created tons of mistakes. I've seen brilliant candidates like that, right? Some of them were interns for us last summer. And I recommend, please try to get into the habit of getting good sleep, extremely important. But try to wake up at 6:30 so that in the next 2 to 3 months, your biological clock is fully set and active to be at its peak by 10 a.m. That's the time that you have to take your exam. Don't forget that, right? That's important. So that's one thing, that's one aspect of it. The second aspect is most important thing in the last 90 days. Whatever you've prepared. Let me give you an example. In my third year BTech, when I was taking the GATE the very first time, I couldn't prepare for all the subjects because some of the subjects were not even covered in my syllabus. So I skipped the whole computer network subject itself, to be honest with you. I'm not saying you should skip a subject, but I'm telling you from my own experiences, I just didn't have time to learn computer networks and prepare. So I completely skipped the whole damn subject, to be honest with you. Because in my university curriculum, computer networks was in 4th year and I was taking the GATE exam in 3rd year, because in those days we could take the GATE exam either in 3rd year or 4th year. But even with that, I got a rank 178, which is pretty good to get into some of the old IITs. Of course, I may not be able to get into Indian Institute of Science with that rank, but I could certainly get into some of the top old IITs, right? So my suggestion here is whatever you have learned, and if you have one subject or half a subject or 2 subjects, try to keep learning it, but parallelly prepare for the revision strategy for all the subjects that you have done. I'll give you a strategy, I'll give you an actual schedule, day by day schedule on what topics you should cover on what day. That's my strongest recommendation. This 90 days is the most important phase where you need to revise all the concepts. Again, we are making all of our notes available to all the students, not just our registered students, even for people who are not our students. These are notes written by our team ourselves based on our own videos, right? I'll also provide a link to that. For most of the subjects, the notes is there. For the other subjects, we're still in the final stages of writing them. Use the notes, read the notes, go back and revise. And the best way to revise is 2 things. 1, revise from the notes. Make short notes as you do it, if that's better for you, or just print a copy of the notes. We'll give you PDFs. Just print it and keep revising the subject. Number 1. Number 2, solve as many problems as possible. If you are one of the registered students of our test series or of our course, you have the whole exam set out for you. Like we have tons of exams, topic tests, subject tests, mock tests, all of them. Even if you're not a registered student, you have last 20 to 25 years of question papers, right? Solve them. That's more than sufficient, to be honest with you. And please don't fool yourself. The biggest mistake that people do is they fool themselves while preparing for the last 90 days. Self-evaluation and correction is the most important thing in the last 90 days. Every day, pick up some topics. I'll tell you the actual schedule itself. For example, today, let's assume we picked up, let's say C. Okay. Let's look at the whole C notes, the notes that you have written or the notes that we have provided or the notes you have gotten from anywhere. That's perfectly okay. Revise the whole notes. Take a subject test or a topic test on C. Look at all the mistakes that you have done. Okay. If you think you don't know a concept, again, when you're writing this, when you're taking a test, make a note and say, I don't know this concept. So that you can go back to the notes or to the course videos and revise that concept where you're not sure. Okay, that's called concept revision. The second thing is, this is the biggest mistake. People do silly mistakes. I know so many brilliant candidates who mess up because of silly mistakes. Every silly mistake you make, open a notebook, write down the silly mistake that you have done. Next time, you should avoid it. This list of silly mistakes will tell you what not to do. Okay, that's super duper important, trust me. So again, some people are asking suppose if there is a question where you have 4 options, again, GATE has negative marking. So if you can eliminate 2 options, make an educated guess, because statistically speaking, using simple probability theory, you can show that if you can eliminate 2 options, you're in a decent state, make educated guesses. That's okay. But if you cannot eliminate options, don't even touch that question. If you can eliminate at least 2 options of the 4 options, if you're left with 2 more options, it's perfectly okay to make educated guesses. Okay, I would do that. I have done it also personally. But if you can eliminate only 1 option, don't take a guess. Okay, I won't recommend it because it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. Again, it's a risk reward thing, right? My suggestion is, if you have 4 options, if you can eliminate 2 options, take a educated guess. Take a smart guess. Don't just say A, B, coin toss type stuff. Please don't do that. Okay. Eliminate a couple of options. It's perfectly okay to do that. Okay. And most importantly, many people do this. Many people just neglect aptitude. If you want to be in the first 200 or 300 ranks that matter to get into good old IITs or top institutions, you should not neglect aptitude. This is a very, very common mistake that I see people doing. Please don't neglect aptitude, because you get a good amount of almost 10 marks from aptitude. Almost 8 to 10 marks from aptitude. And that could be the difference between you getting in the top 100 ranks and you being in the top 1000 ranks. Okay. So please don't skip these easy subjects like aptitude. Please don't do that. Okay. So again, I'll provide you. So here is a link. Let me show you the notes. So you can just go to gate.appliedcourse.com/GATECS notes. Right. If you go here, You will have, for C programming, this is the notes from our course videos. There are also a bunch of free videos. If you're a registered student, you have access to all of them. So for all these subjects, we already have uploaded notes. We are just doing notes for engineering, math, computer networks, OS, DLD, aptitude. We are just working on them. We'll do it as soon as we can, right? First, whatever subjects you have notes, please download them, print them out. Please share it with your friends who are also preparing. This is available not just to our students, but for everyone. We thought one of the biggest reasons people fail is they can't revise. And the reason they can't revise is they don't have good notes. This is notes written by our team, right? So they've put in a lot of effort to encapsulate all the key concepts when they're making these notes, right? So feel free to distribute them, feel free to use them, especially for your revision, right? So number one. So the next thing is, so this is one thing. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was, another thing that I wanted to talk about, just a second. Okay, couple of important things that I wanted to talk about was, see, we have, for all of our registered students, we have practice tests, right? Okay, so even for some of our non-registered students, we have some free practice tests. Go check them out. We have some free mock tests. Please feel free to use them. You might have been registered with some other entity, some other institute. That's perfectly okay. Practice is the most important thing. You should try and solve close to 3,000 to 4,000 problems in the next, try to solve 30 problems a day, 30 to 40 problems a day. You are clean by the time the exam date comes. For every problem, if you don't know the concept, go back, revise that concept, try to tackle the problem again, right? If you are doing silly mistakes, make a note of it, because silly mistakes are much more frustrating, because you know the concept, you know everything, but you've done some silly mistake. They hurt you really badly as you come closer to the exam, right? So as far as our course participants are concerned, so the practice tests that we have, those practice tests are slightly above the gate level. Some problems at least 50% of the problems in our practice tests are slightly above the gate level. These are practice tests that we have as part of the course. So what we have done for topic tests, subject tests and mock tests is we try to stay at the gate level. We don't want to give questions that are way ahead of the gate level. So we have tried to follow the gate level that is there in the last 4 to 5 years. Okay, that's a rule of thumb. And the way we have designed all of these questions here is we have taken practice problems from textbook exercises, standard textbooks. We took all the exercise problems. We took questions from top universities like Stanford, Berkeley, MIT. We looked at their assignment problems. We looked at their tests that they have, midterm tests, final tests, etc. We took all these problems. We posed all these problems into the gate pattern. Okay, and we also tried to ensure that the problems are at gate level. Some questions will be tricky, wherein you will do silly mistakes. Okay, because in the real gate exam also, there is a very high scope for doing silly mistakes, right? So all of our topic tests, subject tests, mock tests will be at gate level, mostly at gate level, and this is how we set up the questions. We try to do as many new questions as possible. So again, some of our mock tests are open to everyone. We already made those announcements earlier on our YouTube channel and live sessions. Please feel free to attend all these tests. Whatever is publicly available, please do it, right? Number one. So, okay, so as for the schedule, okay, so for all of our registered students, we sent you an email on October 2nd with a schedule of what to prepare for the next 3.5 to 4 months, right? Those who are following that schedule, perfect, no problem. If you have not yet started following that schedule, I'll give you one more schedule here. Again, the link to this Excel sheet, the Google sheet that I have, I've already placed it in the description section of this video, right? So let me transition to this. This is a rough schedule that I'll give you. Okay, again, for all of our registered students who have already done it, okay, who have already started following the schedule that we gave them on October 2nd, don't worry about it, right? If you have not yet started, because that October 2nd schedule is much ahead of this schedule. This schedule literally starts from today or tomorrow, if I'm not wrong, right? So this schedule starts from tomorrow, literally. Okay, so the way we ordered these questions, the way we ordered these topics is based on how easy it is to score marks and how many marks you get from these topics. That's how we have ordered some of these questions, right? For example, C, data structures, algorithms, extremely scoring, right? Again, look at this. If you're a registered student, you can cover basics of C programming, and we have a topic test for this. Then functions, pointers, strings, structures, and rest of the topics, we have a topic test too. Then we have a subject test for C. Right, 2 days, again a subject test. All of our registered students can simply follow this. If you are not a registered student, you can use this schedule, and instead of subject test, what you could do is you could take all the last 25 years questions on C programming and solve them. The best way, if you're a registered student, you can do, in addition to all these questions that we are giving, you can also take last 25 year questions, because we don't copy those questions and place them here in these tests. All these questions, we try to set them as original as possible from top university exams, from top text, from very good textbooks, right? So if you're a registered student, this is a schedule that I would strongly recommend, right? Again, this is already available for you. If you go to this thing, look at this. Just under this live session, there is a schedule. You can go here, you'll get the whole schedule. Try to stick to this schedule at any cost. Okay, this is extremely important, folks. Please don't mess it up. Okay, if you have already started, again, I'm making a special note here. If you're a registered student, if you're following the schedule that we gave you on October 2nd, that schedule is ahead of this. This should be your worst case 90-day schedule. Okay, again, if you're not registered for our tests but registered at some other institute, that's perfectly okay. First cover C programming, data structures, algorithms, theory of computation, digital logic circuits or digital logic design, engineering mathematics, aptitude, right? DBMS, OS, the last topic is computer networks, and we have intentionally made this because there is so much to remember in computer networks, right? And again, we have also done this order. My suggestion to anybody who is serious about GATE, who is just starting their revision and practice of problems now, just stick to this. Try to solve at least 3,000 problems. If you solve 30 to 40 problems a day, right, you will solve 2,500 to 3,000 problems in the next 90 to 100 days. That's all you need. And for every problem, please don't fool yourself. Please don't cheat. Please, whatever mistakes you're doing, that's perfectly okay. Right? This is important. Again, this whole thing is available for you. Again, if you're a registered student of ours who has not started with the October 2nd schedule, you can start with this schedule from tomorrow morning itself. And my recommendation, since we are getting closer and closer to the examination now, okay, that whole sheet is available for you, right? So don't worry about it. The most important thing is, the most important thing for you is to allocate time. I know some of you are working professionals. I know some of you are students who have exams. All of that stuff will happen. That's the reality of life. Okay. That's what we have to live with. Okay. Try to at least spend 4 to 6 hours for the next 100 days. Tell yourself this simple thing. This is the 100 days that I'm catering to the biggest decision, to the biggest swing in my career. You crack GATE, your career will take a big turn. Trust me. Okay. Put yourself, give yourself 4 to 6 hours. Whether it is 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the night, doesn't matter. 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the night, doesn't matter. Follow the schedule that we are giving. Use the notes that we are giving, or the notes that you have written earlier, or the notes that you have from other institutes. Solve the previous year problems. At least the registered students, please solve all the tests, the topic tests, subject tests, everything that we are giving. If you do not do it, okay, you are just wasting your time here. Right? This 90 days is what matters the most. If the preparation that you have done in the last 6 months, 9 months or 1 year is one phase, this is the second phase. You mess it up, you mess up the whole story. Right? That's why I'm telling you not 2 hours a day, at least 4 hours, preferably 6 hours. Don't sleep till the time you finish the topic, but also try to get good sleep. Okay, you will have to become you have to get into the military regimen of things. Strict schedule, micromanage your time if you have to. That's perfectly okay. Write a schedule and say, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. You will have other things like exams, like your project deliveries. That is the reality. Right? So that's perfectly okay. I strongly recommend to stick to this schedule, and that's what matters. Most importantly, every mistake you're doing, make a note of it. Right? Try to use all the resources. We just wanted to give the notes to everyone, so that it will speed up your revision strategy, right? So, sounds good. Okay, anything else? Okay, my team is also answering questions. I understand some of you have university exams. In the real world also, right? I mean, come on, that's the reality. Most probably half the subjects that you have as part of your 3rd year or 4th year may already be part of your GATE syllabus, right? So, I understand that, that's the reality, but please don't postpone your preparation because of your exams or project deliveries, right? You will mess it up. And people who are preparing long term, very, very important note here. I know you guys are under a lot of stress because you have dropped a year. You are under a lot of stress to deliver, to get good marks. But that stress should not become your enemy. I've seen a lot of people do this mistake. People who are dropping a year, preparing long term. For them, the last 3 months is when they have to get really good rest. You have prepared longer than anybody else. Try to make the most out of the next 90 days. I've seen brilliant candidates who have dropped a year, who have messed up the exam because they have been under too much stress, and get into a specific sleeping pattern. You can say, okay, I'll sleep at 12, I'll wake up at 6, right? Or you can say, I'll sleep at 11, I'll wake up at 6:30. That will give you 7.5 hours of good rest. Try to get a sleep cycle so that on the day of exam, you also stick to that sleep pattern, sleep and peace of mind, right? Again, to be honest with you, when I wrote the GATE exam the first time, I had very good sleep. I didn't panic. I said, okay, let me go. See, I'm competing with people like me. I'm not competing with some of the best computer scientists in the world. I'm competing with people who are very much like me. If the paper is tough, it's tough for everyone. If the paper is easy, it's easy for everyone, right? Go with that confidence in your mind saying, okay, I am one of the best prepared candidates, right? And you have to prepare. You can't just tell yourself that you're not prepared, right? So tell yourself that you're preparing, you're one of the best prepared candidates for the exam. Go with that level of, tell yourself. Don't fool yourself, but tell yourself, yes, I will be in the top 100 ranks, or I'll be in the top 300 ranks, or I'll be in the top 10 ranks, right? Whatever number works for you, right? Whatever you're comfortable with. Like when I prepared the GATE exam for the final year, in my final year, I said, because in my third year, I got rank 176. In the final year, in my BTech final year, I said, I have to do better than my previous year. That I had no pressure. I said, last year I got 176 rank. This year I want to do better than that. That's all was there in my mind. And I went super, again, that's the best thing I did. I said, okay, what is the worst case that will happen? Okay, I'll mess it up. Okay, so I said, go full peaceful. I had very good sleep, good breakfast. Again, please don't skip your breakfast. Get into a habit of having your breakfast at 7:38 so that you're ready for the examination, right? Have a good breakfast. Get into that habit. That's very, these habits do matter, right? So in my BTech final year, when I took the exam, I was in zero pressure literally. I said I have to do better than my 176 rank. I went to the exam. The examination paper was dead easy. You can see the 2007 GATE paper. It was trivial paper. And I was like, dude, what is happening? I'm solving all the problems like super fast, right? Also, another thing that you have to look at is timing yourself. Always keep a timer to understand how fast you're solving problems or how slow you're solving problems, right? Again, your job is not to get 100 out of 100 marks. The GATE exam toppers typically get around 80, right? So your job is not to get 100 out of 100. You can skip questions where you can't eliminate at least 2 out of the 4 options, and that's perfectly all right, right? So don't worry about it. Okay, let me answer a few questions that are here. Okay, somebody says IITs quit stipend and increase the fees. What about it? Again, I wish IITs didn't do it. I really wish IITs and IISc were just like the old days where they would give you terrific stipend and all of that stuff. But these are stuff that are not in our hands. So why worry about it? Okay, and don't worry. I mean, if you have financial necessities, if you think you cannot pay the tuition fee or the hostel fee or the boarding fee, don't worry about it. IITs are some of the best institutions that any major bank in India will give you an education loan, which you can always repay once you get a good job after your 2 years. Like I know a lot of brilliant candidates who get into universities like IIMs, like ISB, etc. for MBAs. The fees is like humongous. But then every major educational institution every major financial institution like a bank is willing to give them a loan because these guys are guaranteed to get good job offers, right? I understand it will be hurting because you'll have to ask your parents for your monthly expenses, all of that stuff. I understand that, right? Because when I joined Institute of Science, I got like 5,000 rupees stipend. I stopped asking my parents the day I got my first stipend. I've never asked my parents a single rupee since then. Okay, to be very honest. Okay, and I was very happy. Of course, my parents, thankfully, my father is a civil engineer. He would never say no if I ask him for money. But I stopped asking and it gave me so much sense of self-worth. Unfortunately, the decision to increase the IIT fee is not in our hands. We can't impact it. So why fight it? Let's do the best we can. If you cannot pay the tuition fee or the hostel and boarding fee, banks will line up in front of you to give you loans. Okay, don't worry about it. Focus on your preparation. Let's go crack it. Okay, that's what is more important. So price hike will affect the level of paper? I don't think so, because people who are setting these papers, the IIT professors, they don't care about all of this politics. Okay, they really don't care. They would give question papers very similar to what they have done in the past. Okay, they do not care about it. Okay, because what is their objective? As a professor at IIT, my objective is to get good students for the master's programs at IIT. That's my job, right? Why will I reduce the quality of the paper or increase the hardness of the paper? Because if I increase the hardness of the paper, the top ranker will only be 50 marks. It doesn't help me much, right? If I reduce the quality of the paper, like I'll get terrible people, and I have to work with these MTech students because they will be my teaching assistants, my research assistants. I'll be doing some research with them. I don't want these people, right? I want good people. So IIT professor is completely ambivalent, or he doesn't care about this whole thing. The paper level will not be significantly different from the previous papers, right? What is it? Oh, there is one more important point. Aditya, good question that you asked. My suggestion is whenever you're taking a test, let's assume the test has try to sit for a full period, inform your family or friends not to disturb you. Try to simulate that examination setting. Okay, so if you're writing let's say a mock test or a subject test with some 65 questions or whatsoever, try and set a timer for 3 hours, turn off your phone or at least put it in vibration, let it not disturb you, don't look at it. Just try to simulate the examination setting as closely as possible. That is super duper important. Okay, because then you'll get into the habit of sitting for 3 hours and you can't take a bathroom break during the examination, right? So you have to learn to sit, drink, have good enough ample amount of water. Try to, on your table, try to simulate the examination setting as closely as possible. That will get you into the groove of taking exams, right? So somebody says, is it okay to skip DLD and CO for GATE? I would recommend you not to skip, but if you cannot do anything else, what can we do? But at least focus on the other subjects much more. Again, every subject you skip will hurt your rank. Let's be realistic about it. Because in every subject, there will be some easy questions, right? Every subject will have at least some easy questions. All those questions you're losing out. And your competition has prepared all the subjects. See, you're competing with people very much like you. You're not competing with the world's top computer scientists. You're not competing with people who have not prepared. There are some people who don't prepare and come to the GATE. They are not even your competition. Okay, the only competition that you're fighting against is those people who have spent considerable amount of time preparing and practicing for GATE. That's your competition, right? So that's what matters. Again, if you have to, again, I skipped a subject, as I told you, to be honest with you. I skipped CN when I was writing the exam in 2006 during my BTech third year, and of course it hurt me. There were probably some simple silly CN questions that I missed out. Probably instead of 176 I would have gotten 130 or 140 rank. Probably I missed that out. So my suggestion is, if you have to skip a subject, try to ensure that other subjects you're doing very good justice in. And instead of skipping a whole subject, try to go through all the concepts once so that the simpler questions can be solved by you. You're not losing out on the simpler questions, right? Somebody is talking about IIT Hyderabad. Yeah, the syllabus is very similar to GATE. Their exam is a little later, but they focus a lot on programming, data structures and algorithms more than GATE. Right. Again, I think we did a video on how IIT entrance exam looks like. Anyway, we'll do one more follow-up video once the GATE exam is over, before the IIT exam is scheduled for, so that you will know how to take your whole GATE preparation for the IIT entrance exam. Okay. Where were we? Again, somebody is asking how to improve accuracy. That's straightforward. Just follow the 2 steps that I said. Any question that you are not able to answer because you don't have the concepts, make a note of it, go back, revise those concepts, try to answer the question based on the concepts that you have learned. That will improve your accuracy, number 1. Number 2, every silly mistake you make, open a notebook, write down every topic, every silly mistake that you're making. Okay, by writing it down, you're telling yourself that I will not do this mistake. Okay, that's how you improve your accuracy. And of course, there are some instances where you can't eliminate all options. There is a random probability of, imagine out of the 4 options you have eliminated 2 options, you're left with 2 more options, the probability of error is 50%. So those you can't avoid anyway, right? So somebody says 15 mock tests, more than sufficient, guys, don't worry about it. 15 mock tests is a lot of preparation, right? Again, of course, that's certainly a very good number. 15 is quite a large number. My suggestion is this: from today onwards, in the next 90 to 100 days, right? 90 to 95 days, right? Try to solve 3,000 questions that you have not solved before. Okay, as many as possible. Again, people who are registered for our tests and for our exams, and for our mock test, they will easily be able to solve 2000 to 3000 questions. And if you're feeling that you want more questions, just go through the last 25 year questions. Again, I'm telling you this, when I prepared for GATE, I did not do any test. I mean, we didn't have those many options in those days, right? I prepared on my own, self-preparation. I wrote my notes for every subject from standard textbooks. What I did for the last 3 months, literally, is I took the last 25 year question papers, solved every question without looking at the answer. Whenever I get a wrong answer, I would go back, read the concept, understand why I got the wrong answer. 25 question papers I solved. That's roughly what? That's roughly about 2000 questions, right? That's it. And most important thing here is you have to learn from your mistakes. If you keep doing a mistake and just like a horse, don't look anywhere, but just look forward, and you do a mistake, you don't learn from it, it's useless. Every mistake should be a learning lesson for you. That's how you constantly improve as you're nearing the exam. The mistake that you did today, if you do the same mistake 20 days later, you're just not doing it the right way. Okay, that's super duper important. Okay, yeah, any questions, any suggestions that you need, whatever I could not answer here, please feel free to email us. We'll try to do the best we can. Somebody's asking about aptitude, right? Solve the aptitude questions in the last few years that you have. And there is this book called R.S. Agarwal, right? Very popular aptitude book. Very good book, actually. Just solve practice problems from R.S. Agarwal, right? Of course, first solve from all the previous year GATE question papers, number one. Next, pick up this book called R.S. Agarwal and solve problems. If you're a registered student, we have ample tests for you. If you're not a registered student, just go with R.S. Agarwal. That's a very good book, right? When to start full-length tests? I would say start it from early December, right? Because maybe in the next 1 month, try to finish all the topics, revise all. See, look at this. The strategy is this. In the next 1 month, try to revise. See, you have 3 months literally, right? Every month you should do one phase of revision. In the first phase of revision, you should do all topic tests, subject tests. In the second phase of revision, you should do all mock tests and revise. Jan is your last phase of revision. Look at all the silly mistakes you have done. Ensure that you don't repeat those mistakes. So 3 phases of revision. Okay, that's what I would strongly recommend. 3 phases of revision. First phase is subject test, topic test. Second phase in December is all mock tests. And Jan again, you can again go back and solve the topic tests, subject tests, mock tests, all of that stuff. But you should finish all the notes that you have written or the notes that we are providing once in November, once in December, once in Jan. 3 revisions, you should be cool, right? So somebody is saying while practicing some question, not even on seeing the answer, how to tackle them. If you skip, again, if you are not able to eliminate any of the 4 options, if you are able to eliminate 2 options, take a shot at the question, make an educated guess. If you cannot, skip it. As simple as that. It's a simple statistical reality. If you can eliminate 2 options, perfect, go take the risk. If you can't, and if you don't know the concept, you can't do anything about it. Make a note of it, go back, revise that concept. That's all I'll suggest, right? Yes, aptitude is very, very easy in GATE. It's actually, I mean, there are 10th class students who can do those aptitude questions. We have increased the aptitude questions slightly above the current level so that you're prepared even for the worst case. Even our questions are not hard, right? A 12th class student or a BTech first year student can easily solve these aptitude questions. Because aptitude are basic time and distance and stuff that we've learned in our up to 10th grade. Right, so yes, all the questions that we give for subject tests, mock tests, topic tests, plus previous year questions is more than sufficient. You do that religiously without fooling yourself, with constructive feedback, correcting yourself on the way. You're more than ready for the GATE exam. Try to follow all the guidelines that I'm giving, right? So again, till where you should solve, start from 2019, go as back as possible. Like in some years, I think 2016, 2015, 2014, there are multiple sets of question papers, right? So use all of them. So even if you go till, let's say, 2005, right? That's close to almost 20 papers, because some years have multiple papers, right? That's almost 20 papers. Go up to 2005. If you can go beyond that, why not? But try to do like 20 papers. Right, 20 previous year papers, because some papers like in 2014, I think there are 2 or 3 sets, right? So if you go even up to 2005, that's a good chunk of 20 papers and roughly about 1500 questions, right? Good mantra for good rank: revise and practice. Okay, this is the time for revise, practice, and course correct. Okay, just blind revision, blind practice will not help you. Course correct. Every mistake you do, learn from it. Avoid that mistake the next time. Any concept you don't know, go back to the revisions. Go back, revise. Revision, practice, course correction. 3 things you will be able to crack GATE. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? So again, somebody is asking about time management. My suggestion for time management is as follows. Try to have, when you're practicing, right, try to have about 1.5 to 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes, typically 1.5 minutes for every 1 mark question, about 3 minutes for every 2 mark question. Okay, that's how you should time yourself, roughly that's how you should time yourself, right? And again, GATE is not a hard exam. So while time management is sometimes important, it's very, very important if you get a very hard paper or a very easy paper. But I'm assuming if you look at the last 4-5 years papers, time management is important. But if you can stick to this schedule that you'll solve every 1 mark question in 1.5 to 2 minutes, every 2 marks question in about under 3 minutes, you're good, you're golden, right? Fear of calculus. Guys, we have put, I think, most of our calculus videos free. Just go check it out. I'm very happy with my calculus content because calculus is something that I use extensively as a machine learning scientist. I think I've done a decent job in calculus. Calculus is not hard. Again, GATE calculus is not at all hard. It's no way as hard. I would say it's much easier than IIT JEE calculus. Okay, except for your mechanical, civil engineers, etc. For computer science engineers, calculus is easier than IIT JEE. Way easier than IIT JEE actually. Right? So just solve it. I mean, again, we have some free videos. Go check it out. You should be able to quickly grasp it. You want me to discuss 2006 paper? I can do that. Let's do probably in one of these live sessions. So I'm planning to do 1 live session every week religiously. My team will also try and do 1 more live session every week. At least I will try to do at least 1 live session a week. And please suggest us any topic that you want me to cover. Somebody is saying, let's discuss 2006 paper. Actually, we can do that. I mean, we can do an easy paper and a hard paper. Okay? We can take a very easy paper, very hard paper and see how to time manage. That's a good topic that we could discuss. Again, frankly speaking, guys, I mean, I don't think GATE is hard, to be honest with you. Again, I'm not saying this sitting almost 10-12 years after I've taken GATE. I've taken GATE as a BTech student, 3rd year student and 4th year student. I never felt GATE is hard. GATE is only exhaustive. The content is so much. That's the challenge with GATE. The questions are not at all hard, to be honest with you. So the way to crack GATE, any topic in GATE, is to have good notes. We are providing that to you, to every student, not just our registered students, for their benefit. Number 1. Number 2, revise, practice, course correct. That's it, right? Most of the probability that you have, I think, except Bayes theorem, etc., I think these are topics that you must have already learned in your 11th and 12th class, right? I'm not sure. Again, when I was in 11th and 12th class, I learned basics of probability and counting, like combinatorics. But I don't think, I think I learned Bayes theorem in my BTech. I think I also learned distributions in my BTech, expectations, distributions, and other slightly advanced concepts. So it shouldn't be hard. Okay. Smart work any day, not hard work, right? So the reason people are successful is smart work, not hard work. I've seen even a day-to-day coolie does lots of hard work. Imagine the amount of physical hard work he or she does, right? But they're not too successful in their professional careers because they're not doing smart work. Smart work any day. Smart work, just follow the guidelines that I've said that for the next 90 days, the 3 things: practice, revise, course correct. That's it. The course notes link, I'll paste it in the description section here. I've already showed you. You can just go download it, right? So that's it. Any other questions that you have, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. Whether you're a registered student or not, we want to help every student who wants to crack GATE. Okay, sounds good, folks. See you again next week. And please suggest us some topics in the comment section or in the chat window. I'll try and cover as many as possible. Right? Sounds good. See you. And let's do this once every week from now till the GATE exam. I would be very extremely happy to do it. And see you soon.